that's no problem. So number 1, a child randomly selects a jelly bean from a jar of jelly beans. The probability that the child selects a grape jelly bean is 7 out of 23. Okay, so when it gives me that probability, that means there are 7 that are grape and 23 total. Okay, set up as a fraction, part over the whole. The probability that he selects a grape or a cherry is 13 out of 23. That means in this jar there are 13 jelly beans that are either grape or cherry. Can it be both? No, it's one flavor or the other. So we want the probability that we select a cherry jelly bean. We know there are 23 jelly beans. 7 of them are grape and 13 are grape or cherry. So what should I do? 13 minus 7 gives us 6. So 6 out of 23. Those do have to be fractions in lowest terms. So if you ever got like 6 out of 26, you would go ahead and reduce it. But 6 out of 23 does not reduce. All right, number 2. The children at a birthday party range from 6 to 9 years old. The graph shows the number of children at each age at the party. What's the probability that a child selected at random will be 7. So, probability is part over the whole. My part, we want the ones that are 7 years old. So reading your graph, how many are 7 years old? 8. The whole is all the children. So when I look, I have 5 that are 6 years old. I have 8 that are 7 years old. I have 4 8-year-olds. And I have 7 9-year-olds. So I have to add those together to get the total children at the party, which is 24. And then you have to write that in lowest terms. 8 over 24 reduces to 1/3. If you had trouble reducing your fraction, your calculator can do it for you. All right, there's no penalty for using your calculator on the ACT. Nope. They don't care how you get the answer, just if you can. So don't make silly mistakes because you didn't want to take out the calculator. Is that one okay? Problem 3. It tells us that Q is 5/3 P plus 46. And then it goes on to tell us that Q is 21. So this is just solving an equation. How would I get P by itself? Okay, so we get negative 25 equals 5/3 P. So you can divide by 5/3. If you do that on your calculator, that's one place where people make a lot of mistakes. You have to put the 5/3 in parentheses. Or you can multiply it by the reciprocal, and we get negative 15. Now, let's say that you aren't really a math person. Is there any way we could get the right answer without solving this equation? Yeah. Okay, I can go through and plug them in for my p-value and see if they work. Okay, so for instance, the first one is negative 4. I could grab my calculator, plug in negative 4, and see if I get 21 for my answer. Right? Any questions about that? Okay, number 4. What do those vertical bars mean? Absolute value. That makes everything positive. It tells me y is negative 6. So if we add like terms, 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4. Absolute value of negative 4 just makes it positive, and we get 4. The math section, unlike the other tests, it is mostly in progressing difficulty. So the beginning questions are typically easier than the ending questions. So make sure that you're not just missing the easy ones because you're in such a rush to get to the hard ones. Okay, you're less likely to know how to do the questions at the end of the test. So don't miss the easy ones that you could get right at the beginning. All right, number 5. In 2015, the total rainfall in Central City was 13 inches less than the total annual rainfall in the year 2000. Do I know how much it rained in the year 2000? No, so I'll call that X. I know in 2015, it was 13 less, so what would we do? In 2016, the total rainfall was 33 inches greater than the rainfall in the year 2000. Okay, 2000 was X, greater than means plus 33. If plus indicates an increase in rainfall and a minus indicates a decrease, what was the difference in inches in the yearly rainfall from 2015 to 2016? So what's the difference here? How much did it go up or down, first of all? Up. So we need to know how much it went up. It's like subtracting these, so you could think 33 minus negative 13, or just think it takes 13 to get to 0 and then another 33. So it went up 46 inches. So that's Reuben purchases a violin that is on sale for a total price of $1,250, which includes tax and all the other fees. He makes an initial payment of $300 in cash and puts the remainder on the credit card. So he paid $300. Let's figure out how much goes on the credit card. If we subtract those, we get $950. He makes no other purchases on the card and pays off the credit card balance with 9 monthly payments of $150. All right, if he paid $150 9 times, let's figure out how much he paid. So if you take 150 times 9, what does that give me? Okay, we want to know the difference between the total amount he paid and the initial, including the initial payment, and the credit card payment, and the sale price of the violin. Okay, the way that's written is just a little bit confusing, but we are looking for a difference, which means a subtraction. The total amount he paid for the violin was the $1,250, and the credit card payments. So how much did he end up paying? He paid $1,350 for the credit card, but how much had he already paid for our violin? So overall, he ended up paying $1,650, and it originally only cost $1,250. So when you subtract those, you get the $400. So this one, not that the math was so hard, it's the phrasing of that question was really confusing when you read that last sentence. So you had to take into account the total amount he paid, so his initial $300 and the credit card, and then subtract what he originally bought it for. All right, is this explanation helping? How many of these questions did we miss the first time? Did we miss any of them? Some of them? We made some mistakes? Okay, so it is beneficial then to go through. Number 7. Based off the feedback I usually get, geometry is sometimes the thing people struggle with the most on here. Do you guys feel the same? Are you confident in your shapes? Maybe. So I will make sure I include some geometry stuff. It tells me we have a regular hexagon. What does it mean if it's regular? All the sides are the same. The perimeter is 30. Perimeter is if you add them all up. So if we have 6 sides that are the same, 30 divided by 6 tells me each side is 5. Okay, then we have our center here. And we want to know the perimeter of triangle ABC. All right. To do that, I need to know the lengths of all the sides. Is there any way we could get that? because it's regular, I could divide this thing into into triangles. And it would make 6 equal triangles, right? Inside, how many degrees are in a whole circle? 360. If you divide that by 6, you get 60. That tells me this angle is 60 degrees. Because it's regular, these two angles are the same. Okay, what do all the angles in a triangle add up to? 180. So if you take 180, subtract off 60, that gives me 120. If I split that in half, each of these angles is also 60. If all the angles are the same, what does that mean about the sides? They are also all the same. So that means the triangle I'm looking at, every side is 5. So the perimeter, 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15. Okay, maybe a little more explanation than you needed there, but that's how I knew that triangle, all the sides would be equal. All right, number 8. I want everybody to look at this question. So make sure you are following along with me here. We have this figure. And what I want you to do is think of it as if we broke this thing into rectangles. So let's say I separated it like this. I drew that line that broke those two apart. It told me that this total length was 25. This was 9. If from here to here is 17, how far is it from here to here? 8. 25 minus 17. Okay, and we know that this whole side is 14. But if this distance is 9, what's this one going to be? So now, to get our area, you have to just do the two separate rectangles. Area is just length times width. So for the big rectangle, it's 25 times 9. For the small rectangle, it's 8 times 5. So what does that give me? Get 225 plus 40. 265. All right, so a lot of times there will be something with an irregular shape on there. Irregular just means it's not a clear-cut circle, triangle, rectangle. It's a combination of shapes. So break it up into smaller things that you can find the area of, and then put those together. Number 9. If I look at this, we have 3 vertices of a parallelogram, and they gave you space to draw a graph down here. Okay, it gave you the little grid, so let's plot these points. -1, +2. Means you go left 1 and up 2. Does everyone remember plotting points previously? 4, 3. Means you go right 4 and up 3. Okay, we always do left and right first. Second point gets us up and down. -3, -1. All right, we want to know which of these could be the 4th point. If it's a parallelogram, that means the opposite sides are parallel. So if I drew these little, I connected my dots right now. Okay, so I have to have something that would be parallel here. My suggestion is just check your points and see which one makes sense. If I put a dot at 2, 0, would that complete my parallelogram? I went from here to here.
So all 4 sides get
It's Parallelogram just means two pairs of opposite sides. So you're connecting, like making one figure out of it.
Well, I guessed correctly. I just thought it's too much.
Go through and check the others. If I said 3, -2, if I do that, I get a 4-sided figure, but our opposite sides parallel? No, that was way too low, so I know that one's not going to work. If you did 1, 1, okay, we can see that's making closer to a triangle there, so that's not going to work. If I did -2, -5, that's not going to work. -5, -1 wouldn't even make a 4-sided figure. So this one, you don't have to be able to find it exactly, you just have to be able to do process of elimination to throw out the answers that don't work. All right, problem 10. We have two functions. It tells us m is 2x minus 2. N is the square root of x divided by 3. When x equals 9, we need to find m of n of x, and the x is 9. You start on the inside of these. So that means I go to n first, and I replace my x with a 9. So the square root of 9 divided by 3. What is the square root of 9? And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So that whole thing becomes a 1. Now I just have to find m of 1. I'm taking that answer and plugging it into m. We put in a 1. You get 2 minus 2, which is 0. So if you have multiple functions, always start on the inside, get your answer, you take that answer and plug it into the next one. And you can do that repeatedly. So if I had more than 2 functions, you just keep working it. Take your answer and plug it into the next one. Let's do just a couple more. Maybe we can get through this page at least. Number 11. Maria sells homemade holiday cards at a craft fair. The total cost of the supplies is $150. So she has to pay $150. She sells in cards for $3 each. So how would I calculate the amount of money she makes? If you sell in cards for $3 each. If I sold 10 cards for $3, how much money would I get paid? $30. How'd you get it? Okay. So, if she makes a profit, what does it mean to make a profit? You made money, right? So 3N is what she made, but she also has to pay the $150. So we have to subtract off the $150, because if I make less than $150, I'm losing money, right? If I make exactly $150, I broke even. I haven't made a profit yet. So in order to make a profit, this number has to be greater than 0, so that we are making more money than we spent. Does that make sense? Number 12. We will review lines in case anyone has forgotten that. If you want to find slope of the line, probably the easiest thing to think about is y equals mx plus b. Right? There was a formula for finding it when it was written in standard form, but this is what your mind probably goes to when you hear line. So could we rewrite this in that form pretty easily? We subtract over our 5x. So that means negative 11y equals negative 5x plus 7. Divide everything by negative 11. So that gives me a positive 5 over 11x minus 7 over 11. Which part of this is my slope? Y equals mx plus b. What's the slope of that? M. So my m is the number in front of x. So it's 5 over 11. I think I'm going to have to stop here. I don't have